Hello, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Market Down Podcast. My name is Nick Cummings, joined this week by Chad Big Bad Johnson, James Asante, and Danny Hernandez are both on assignment at AEW Grand Slam, which is what we will be talking about tonight. We might hear from them tonight. I'm not sure. We haven't gotten contact them, but we will let you guys know. Anyway, obviously, we have to start with the most glaring thing from tonight, which is from the sign during Jon Moxley's entrance. Where is Shaquille O'Neal? It has been 587 days, and he has disappeared without a trace. Kidding, obviously. Great sign out of that person, though, perfectly placed during Moxley's entrance, which obviously was your main event of the evening. Jon Moxley versus Bryan Danielson for the AEW World Heavyweight Championship. Now, before we even get into the match, I want to commend AEW here. They did a great job, Chad, with MJF during all of this. They had him up in a luxury box, perfectly positioned behind the hard cam, where from a multitude of angles, along with some split screens and showing him on the big screen while doing an overhead shot of the ring, he was ever present during the match. Just always, he was there and just looming over both competitors' heads as he sat in a luxury box, stroking the poker chip like he was Dr. Evil with his cat.
Agreed. I said in the group chat, and I'll say here as well, I kind of knew once I saw him fully clothed in the skybox setting that he was not going to cash in tonight, which I really, really, really wish happened. Or just something of that sort. Maybe, just interfere, something, just a little bit more. However, I'm with you. They did a great job of just having him watch over and looming over the match the whole time. It was super interesting. I think everybody's glad that MJF is back. Damn, I wish we had different results, but I guess we can't complain with such a great show. So I'll leave it at that.
I actually kind of like they didn't do any MJF fuckery here. I like that it ended cleanly, and we're going to continue this storyline. I think obviously, well, he's going to be feuding with Moxley, but they've obviously built that up the last couple of weeks. So him being present while not involved, I thought was a great way to do that. So good on them. Let's get into the match here. Yep. Bryan took an early advantage. He was laying in incredibly hard strikes and kicks. And pretty much he had the advantage all the way through the commercial break for the most part. And shortly after coming out of the break, he hit a Psycho knee, but Moxley kicked out of that. And let me just say right now, the Psycho knee has lost any credibility as a finisher of late.
Absolutely.
As a move,
if it's not the label lock, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, as a move that wasn't kicked out of in WWE for forever, it felt like. It's so odd that despite the fact he finished early matches in AEW with it, it gets kicked out of now all of the time. So just very odd. I don't know if he's going for a new finisher or he's just strictly using the labella lock, like cattle mutilation hasn't done anything either. It's just really weird to me. And you'll see that as it occurred again later in the match. What was it? Yeah. So after that, Mox was able to get an advantage where after the knee, Bryan went up to the top rope. Mox was able to catch him with a power bomb and then immediately started attacking the leg that Bryan injured last week in his match with Jericho, slapping in a half a crab. He then transitioned into a labella lock just to, shove it in Bryan's face. But Bryan obviously ain't able to counter his own move and get out of it. And while they're, grappling on the ground, they get tied up. And they actually start standing on their heads and slapping each other while they're standing on their heads, which was amazing.
Great spot. Great.
Yep. Eventually, they were able to get out of that. Bryan hit another knee, and Moxley again able to kick out. So, like we were just saying, this knee means jack shit anymore. Then Bryan started to hit some formerly known as yes kicks and at Mox's behest, but Mox was able to block one. With the one where Bryan was using the injured leg, he then stomped the leg, which Excalibur was pretty upset about. Then Mox did a curb stomp and a Death Rider, and Bryan was able to kick out. So really cool with the curb stomp there, I thought. And obviously Death Rider, always awesome. Brian
Absolutely.
then gets his own label lock in. Mox makes it to the ropes. And then upon the break, Mox rolls to the outside and is holding the ropes. Brian goes up top, drops the knee on Mox's arm to continue to try to work it. But as Brian goes to get him, Mox is able to hit a Death Rider on the ramp. Brian then rolls all the way back into the ring. Moxley scrambles to get a pin, 1-2 kick out, which I was shocked at. But then Moxley gets in a choke. Brian does some hand fighting, almost gets out of it. But Moxley ends up getting it in deeper. Brian passes out, and Jon Moxley is your first ever 3-time AEW World Heavyweight Champion. Whew. Chad, I think, like you said, you're a little disappointed in the result. I think a lot of us, including me, would have loved to see Brian win, get his first AEW championship. This seemed like the place to do it, especially after the bigger wins, as we discussed last week, that he had gotten in the tournament. Mm-hmm. But it seems like for Brian, Mox is going to be the boogeyman here in AEW for him, and he's going to have a hard time beating him, at least for now.
Yeah, I hate that I'm so pessimistic, but before it started, the WWE brain got to working, and I'm just like, Mox is going to win. So I kind of had it in the back of my mind that Mox was going to win the whole time, but I just had that hope, that gleam of hope that Brian would get it done. And man, like you said, I'm just a wee bit disappointed. I can't be too disappointed because the match was great. The match was phenomenal. This is how I like to see Mox. When I see Mox wrestling, it has to be this hard hitting and it has to be chemistry with the other opponent, or else it gets kind of boring with me. Mox is hit or miss with that. But this match was great. I was rooting for Brian the whole time because I never usually root against him. The spots that you described were fucking perfect. I'm with you. The fucking knee is done. It's over. It's done. I almost never want to see it again. And I hate saying that because it's such a cool move, but I don't want to see it again unless it's an automatic pin. He won by fucking knocking him out via headlock.
You're literally passing him out.
Just sleeper holding. Poor Brian. And it's like, no matter what he does, he can't beat Mox. Like you said, Mox is the boogeyman. He's the one to beat. I'm a little disappointed. I really, really wanted Brian to win. But other than that, I really can't complain. Everybody, I'm sure, kind of knew it could go this way, as, of course, every match is 50-50. But yeah, good match.
I'm trying to decide if I like this match better or their first one. I think I'm going to lean the first one a little bit because I feel
absolutely the first one, without a shadow of a doubt. There was blood.
Yeah, but that doesn't always necessarily make the match better. But
that's true.
In that one, it definitely lended itself because it was such a hard hitting match, and so is this one. I think we got everything we expected out of this. This is a type of match you expect to get out of two members of the Blackpool Combat Club. So sure. I liked it. I liked it a lot. Obviously, I'm disappointed Brian didn't win. Maybe not as disappointed as you because I do love Moxley, maybe even a little bit more than Brian. He was my favorite member of the Shield. Like, he was my boy.
He was my favorite member of the Shield.
Yeah, also. He was my boy. And as much as I love Brian and everything that happened, like, I think just Moxley to me is like one of the coolest motherfuckers on the planet. So
I can't argue with that.
Yes. I love having him win. I think he's great with the title. I cannot believe that he decided to continue to forego his vacation. But I figure he figures that, he needs to be around and help steer the company through some tumultuous times in the locker room, to say the least. Yeah. So, I mean, look, good for him, man. I'm happy he got the title back. And I don't know how long of a run it's going to be. Obviously, you got this whole MJF shit lurking.
I need this to be a really quick reign. Sorry, Mox.
Yeah. There's a golden ticket battle royal that's going to be shown on Friday. It's taking place right now. I'm sure you can go find spoilers after this if you really want to know who that's going to be. But obviously, you're going to have, a minimum of, one contender coming out of that. And then you have obviously MJF as a contender. So you have at least two title defenses lined up for Mox already. And we'll see. And obviously, he'll probably have something in Full Gear if he even gets that far.
Hot take. Whoever wins Friday faces Mox Wednesday, and then MJF cashes in.
That'd be
After
very
Mox beats the Battle Royal guy. I want it to be quick.
I mean, I didn't think a week long quick, especially after we just had a quote unquote week long reign, if you really want to call it that. You know,
I want it.
It was
I want
official.
MJF in the seat immediately.
Yeah. I think technically they might retroactively give Moxley those days as interim champ back, but I don't really know how to do it.
I'm sure they will.
Yeah, I think that's how they do it in like UFC. So it depends on how Tony Khan decides to do it. But anyway, I think we got a really good setup here with Mox versus MJF and whoever comes out of this battle royal to set us up for the next couple of months until actually not even the next couple of months. Like I think it's the next month and a half, right? Till Full Gear.
Mm.
So I'm excited. That's all I'm going to say. All right, let's go to another title match that started the show, which was Chris Jericho versus Claudio Castagnoli for the Ring of Honor World Championship, which I didn't realize was coming. And I was like, wait, what the fuck? And I was like, there's no way they can give this to Jericho, right? It's the Ring of Honor Championship. Boy, was I wrong. So match starts with Jericho reluctantly engaging in the Code of Honor, but then he immediately slaps Claudio in the face, and Claudio responds in turn with a barrage of European uppercuts. Jericho gains the advantage going to commercial with a superplex off the apron onto the floor, which is something I still can't believe this guy is doing on the regular. Like,
yeah.
Christ. Coming out of the commercial, we had a really cool spot where Jericho goes for a top rope per Karana. Claudio actually catches him, goes to the power bomb, and then Jericho reverses that back into the Rana, which was awesome. Eventually, Claudio is able to get into a sharpshooter. Jericho escapes that, and then Claudio still gets a hold of him, but is able to kick out of Jericho, is able to kick out of a power bomb that Claudio administers. Mm-hmm. Claudio then goes for a springboard uppercut, but he gets hit with a code breaker, pinfall, kicks out. Jericho then locks in the walls. Claudio turns himself over, stands up, stomps Jericho until he is in submission, and then puts on the swing. After that, I think Claudio hit something. There was a pinfall attempt. I forget what it was. Jericho kicks out. He rolls out of the ring, and Jericho goes and gets Floyd and goes to hit Claudio, but Claudio actually is able to catch the bat. He takes it, throws it to the other side of the ring. Aubrey goes fucking autocorrect. Aubrey goes to grab the bat, throw it out of the ring, and while she's throwing it out, Jericho pushes Claudio at her. She cowers in the corner so she doesn't get hit by Claudio. Claudio turns around. Jericho kicks him in the huevos, hits the Judas effect, 1, 2, 3, and Chris motherfucking Jericho, in the year of our Lord 2022, is your Ring of Honor World Champion. Chad, I'm like, before I even get to my thoughts, after this, the Jericho Appreciation Society comes out to celebrate. They're all there, even Daniel Garcia, but he's kind of hanging in the back and seems a little upset at the way Jericho won the title, much like I am.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, I understand Jericho's well protected and fine. You know, he had a match against Claudio that he won, which I guess non-title makes sense, but it must be a minute until Tony Khan is starting this Ring of Honor show, because there's no way you're going into it with Chris Jericho as your champion. I mean, I say that even though that's how AEW started, but it's a much, much, much different circumstance on a much different show. So while I get the result because it is going to further this Daniel Garcia storyline, man, fuck this. I'm getting worked, Chad, and I know I'm getting worked, but I still hate it.
Yeah, I'm with you. I dislike it a lot. Yeah, I hate it. Fuck it, I loathe it. I gotta admit it. I absolutely did not have this on my 2022 bingo card at all. Like, I don't know. I mean, the guy's the world champ in every promotion he goes to. It's fucking ridiculous. I mean, he doesn't need it. he is as fit as a fiddle, and I do get it storyline wise, but damn, like I don't know. For some reason, to me, this kind of buries Claudio. I think we all discussed how I think Mox and Cox, that little stable over there, is already kind of all over the place. And I mean, with Yuta losing and now Claudio, it kind of just doesn't seem like anything is going on with them. So for me, this was kind of like a dagger in the stable's heart more so than anything. And a put on for JAS, who everyone knows I'm not the fondest of already anyway.
Yeah, Blackpool Combat Club, outside of an obvious win tonight, although they split that match, they've now lost both of the Ring of Honor titles in their possession, which in recent weeks, two JAS members. Now, granted, one of them is a bit on the fence, but it does. I know the Blackpool Combat Club is established. They're already over. We know they're gonna win big matches. They've won big matches. They won Blood and Guts. They've won multiple championships already, but they do kind of lose a bit of their luster, losing, two of their titles so quickly. Granted, one of them I liked. I do kind of like Daniel Garcia beating Wheeler Yuta. I thought they told a very good story between the three of their matches and everything.
It made sense.
Yeah, and that's cool. And Wheeler's got himself over. And I think he even got himself a solid rub tonight as well, which we'll get to. But I think Claudio losing doesn't look great. I know he's already over and everything, and he's had a lot of defenses of this title. But just him losing to Jericho feels wrong. And again, I'm getting worked, but it feels icky, for lack of a better phrase.
And I think with him losing the title, especially more than anybody else, it puts him kind of in a place of befuddlement where, what do you do next? I mean, Yuta, of course, he can battle the young guys and he can grow forever. Somebody as already established as Claudio, I think he kind of gets lost in the shuffle, which I don't want to say because we don't know. And AEW is usually really good at putting their talent on, but I just kind of in my mind feel like he gets lost in the shuffle. Also, I meant to say this when I was talking about it. That code breaker was sloppy and ugly as fuck. How dare you let somebody win the title after doing a code breaker that way?
I understand why it can be difficult to hit. I mean, Claudio's literally corkscrewing, but it was very sloppy. Checking into the chat. Hey, James. James chatting in live from Glare and Slam. James suggests that perhaps some combination of the remaining BCC members can go after the tag team titles. Whether it's, Brian and Yuta, Brian and Claudio and Yuta. It's possible. I think
that is a great idea because that will at least establish some ground for them.
Yeah.
They've lost their footing a bit.
I do think following the recent title change there, which we'll get to in a minute, I don't necessarily know if I want, spoiler, the Acclaimed to lose so quickly or to have them beat two members of the BCC so quickly. So perhaps they would have to obviously establish themselves in the division. So it could be a little while before they could actually challenge for the titles, but I don't know if I want that just yet. Like, give it a little while, and then if they're eventually the ones to take the title off the Acclaimed, cool. I mean, you also have FTR sitting there, and they've been the number one ranked tag team for months, and they don't get their title shot because somebody keeps distracting them.
And also, whether we want to say it or not, no matter how long it is, we all kind of know Mox is going to lose the title soon. So that's already going to jilt that even more.
Yeah, we're going to have a titleless BCC in the near future, I would imagine.
Yeah, so they are going to have to let that breathe and let them build again. To go into the chat, James said, let them go after the ROH titles. No.
I mean,
just no. They've already lost their ROH titles. They need to stay away from ROH for a while. No. Sorry, James.
I mean, Claudio and Wheeler going after FTR would be cool. Even if that was just a match and they lost, I mean, I would, to FTR and FTR, I would take that match. It'd be awesome.
I'd absolutely take the match, but can they take the L right now?
Yeah, that's a good point.
You got to just throw them in the tag team division and have them win everything for like a month at least,
Yeah, but again, that's
but
dangerous
not the
because then,
titles.
yeah, because then you're going at some point you have to go after the acclaimed,
Yeah,
and the acclaimed, as we just said, they just won the titles, and they're probably the
yeah.
hottest, if not the hottest act in the company right now.
The
So,
hottest.
well, maybe yeah, it's like them and MJF.
It's yeah,
So
absolutely.
it's that's a very slippery slope. I do think, James, at some point it will happen, whether it's whatever combination of the guys it is, even if it's Mox and Bryan. Like I do think it'll end up happening at some point. Let's move on to that tag team title match, which was the Swerve in Our Glory versus the Acclaimed. Swerve in Our Glory, obviously coming as champs. Bit of fanfare here as Fabulous came out with Swerve in Our Glory, and DJ Wu Kid came out with the Acclaimed, along with Daddy Ass, obviously. Shout out to Fabulous for ruining millions of children's spelling of the word fabulous for 2 decades.
Yep.
Anyway, Keith Lee started off this match showing off a bit early, tossing Bowens around and hitting a freaking Rana, which was awesome. Eventually, Caster is able to take down Keith Lee with an arm drag reversal, and he went to celebrate with Bowens with the scissor, but Swerve tagged himself in and hit a drop kick and ruined everything. And let me just say right out of the gate, Swerve got booed a lot in this match,
Yeah.
which
Yes, sir.
I think is what we're obviously playing for here, but the crowd has picked up on this fact very, very much so. So that's a good thing. And obviously, I think that's going to play into the storyline down the road. Where was it? Okay. Anyway, yeah. Later in the match, Keith Lee tossed Bowens out onto the LED ramp, and he turned his attention to Caster. Caster was down. Lee went for a moonsault off the second rope, but Caster rolled out of the way. Caster then has Lee in the ropes. So Swerve picked up the boombox and tried to hit Caster. Ended up hitting Keith Lee by mistake. Bowens hits a blockbuster. Caster goes to the mic drop, but he lands badly, messes his knee up. And Bowens goes for the pin, but Lee able to kick out after having enough time to recover. Caster then goes back up to the top rope a bit later. He gets literally tossed off by Swerve into a pounce from Keith Lee. Mm-hmm. He is then thrown from Swerve's shoulders into a power bomb by Lee, but he kicks out. Swerve then hits a 450 onto the outside, and when he gets up, he gets in a stare down with Daddy Ass. The ref comes to pull him apart. Lee backs Swerve away, but when Swerve turns back around, Billy Gunn gives him a suck it. Swerve gets pissed. He starts going after Billy. Bowens comes down, rolling elbow, and while the ref isn't looking, Daddy Ass hits a famouser, rolls Swerve into the ring. Then we hit Bowens hits the arrival. Max hits the mic drop. 1, 2, 3, new champions, and Danny's crying somewhere in Queens. So, Chad, this is just brilliant booking. This match was phenomenal. Let me start there. This match was absolutely phenomenal. The crowd obviously great behind it. I cannot imagine how loud that crowd was. I could barely even hear the rap. Like, it was funny, and I'm not gonna give the breakdown the way Danny does, but there was some good lines in there about some Coke bottles,
yeah,
and some other things. But I think there was a Cuomo line in there too. But the match was great, and shout out to Tony Khan being smart enough to capitalize on, as we just said, one of, if not the hottest acts in the company right now by giving them the tag titles.
Absolutely. I saw no other way. If they lost this match, this would have been the worst Grand Slam I've ever witnessed. So I'll preface it with that. But going into the match, I agree with James in the chat. The first match between the teams was better. However, this match was still good, and this moment was more iconic. So automatically, you kind of lean towards this match more.
Iconic.
The match was great, though. I mean, I can't complain. Dare I say, when the Acclaimed won, it really made me think that Swerve in Our Glory shouldn't have won to begin with, which I hate saying because I love Swerve and I also love Keith Lee, but it kind of just made sense when the Acclaim won. Like it felt like Swerve and Our Glory were maybe placeholders, and they were hot, but I don't know. Either way, I'm super excited the Acclaim won. I mean, I love Lee and I love Swerve, so I'm glad they got the run that they did, but this just makes more sense. It feels more natural. We were ready for this. Like, as you said, the crowd was completely behind it, and this is just a W here.
I would say that Swerve and Our Glory probably won the titles in the first place as a plot device to eventually split them up. You know,
Probably,
this loss, whenever
Yeah.
it was going to come, and to whomever it came to, and I honestly, I kind of think it came a little early just because Tony had to capitalize on how hot the Acclaimed are.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it was always to eventually break them up. You could see in, you know, post match, Swerve completely bewildered, as was Lee, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
both, you know, Swerve was just like, how the fuck did I lose? You know, this is bullshit. I even cheated and I still lost. And Lee looking there very, very bewildered just because he almost seemed like he didn't know what happened.
Right.
Probably because he got his, you know, head hit upside with a
clock
fucking
one.
yeah, with a fucking giant Bluetooth speaker. So I think, you know, at this point, Swerve is obviously heel, and I don't see Keith turning. You know what I mean? Just yet, or at all. I think the whole point of this was for one of them to turn, and Swerve has been playing into it very heavily. He's getting the booze. We could, in theory, you know, get a Swerve and have, no pun intended, and have Lee end up turning heel on Swerve because he doesn't trust him. But I do think now they split, and we have a feud between them, and then they go on to do what they got to do, whether it's, you know, TNT title or what have you.
Right. Makes sense.
Yeah. But like you said, this match was great. I'm so happy for the Acclaimed. Shout out, you know, Daddy Ass getting over as well. You know, the celebration was awesome for them. I'm sure they're gonna have a great time. And I think both of them are, you know, local kids. So I think Taz was mentioning that. I know Bowen, they said Bowen's dad's played for the Jets. Let's go. Big win this weekend. But yeah, I think Caster was he's from Long Island or something. So it's really cool that they were able to win here in New York. Probably why, honestly, if this was the plan, it's probably why they held it off until now anyway.
Probably. It makes sense.
Yeah, so I'm so happy for them, and it's going to be a fun title reign for the two of them.
Also, a little side note before we go forward. Someone owes the Acclaimed like the rest of their checks for the career, and that would be Billy Gunn. I've never seen Billy Gunn as over as he has tonight. I mean, even with DX and Triple H and all that shit, I've never seen Billy Gunn this over in my life.
What about Billy and Chuck?
I've been watching wrestling since '97. I've never, not Billy and Chuck, not him and Road Dogg, nothing ever. I've never seen him as over as he is now.
Yeah, and honestly, I think part of it is the nostalgia, but he seems to be having more fun than he's had in a really long time. Agreed. You know, and I know he probably had a great time working with his kids and stuff, and they were, you know, and they were screwing around, especially when they were screwing around with Danhausen, because I think he thinks Danhausen's hilarious, and he knows Danhausen's a marketing machine. But I think now that, you know, he's letting his kids do their own thing, and he's just with these two guys, he's just having a ball, you know. So good for him. All right. After this, we had a backstage interview with FTR. They congratulated the Acclaimed on their win, and then they congratulated everybody on a good match. But they say they finally want their shot at the titles, but they get interrupted by the Ash Boys, and the Ash Boys talk their shit and da 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 da. Okay, so after that, we came out of commercial to an interview with Wheeler Yuta, Tony Schiavone. The two of them were on the stage, and before Wheeler can even get started, MJF comes out to interrupt. Obviously, hometown hero MJF. Being in Queens.
So weird.
Yep, MJF talks his usual hometown shit. And then Wheeler responded by saying perhaps MJF's new fiance is smart enough to walk out on him like MJF walked out on the locker room. MJF responds by saying that he came out to tell Wheeler that no matter what happens in the match tonight, it doesn't really matter who wins because they're going to lose to MJF. And then he says, it's okay. You'll still be able to talk to your mentors. You can ask Brian how to be injury prone and turn your brain into scrambled eggs. And he goes, you can't really talk to Mox about anything because he's not all there. And then he says Wheeler can ask Regal how to become a pill addict. Wheeler slaps MJF. MJF responds by shoving him to the floor. And then MJF turns around and tries to shoves Tony Schiavone to the floor, which angered one James in the chat here. He texted our group chat. He was like, I swear to God, if that motherfucker comes back out, I'm going to beat the shit out of him. MJF turns around after shoving Tony Schiavone to the floor. Wheeler gets a double leg, tapes him down, starts beating shit out of MJF until W. Morrissey comes over, grabs Wheeler Yuta, and MJF knocks Yuta out with the Dynamite Diamond ring. So this was cool. I mean, this was literally it was a combination of, get Wheeler rubbed, working with MJF. I thought Wheeler did very well with his promo, despite the fact he's not the best talker, and he was going up against MJF. Obviously, get MJF heat, both hometown heat and regular heat, and heat with James, and continue to, I guess, build the pseudo relationship between the firm and MJF.
Yes, W. Morrissey, I think, actually looked the best here tonight, besides MJF, because he's MJF.
Yeah.
I mean, you're not going to outshine MJF.
It is borderline impossible for MJF to look bad. So
impossible, which is crazy. But this kid is what, 26?
Yeah, something like that.
It's fucking disgusting. But yeah.
And I'll tell you what, if you want to go see him talk, and after this is over, go check him out on Ariel Helwani's podcast from this past week. He was on Rasslin, which is a Barstool podcast. Check him out there. They were kind of similar podcasts, although he shits on Brandon Walker from Rasslin a lot more than he does a Helwani. But the kid was spitting on those shows. Like he was so good. And he gave a little insight into how the chip might work. So, they were both very good interviews, and it adds a lot to MJF's character if you want to watch those. It was really cool. After this, we had a backstage interview with Jade Cargill. She's got title defense on Friday against Diamante. Quite frankly, it was around this point I missed a couple of things, which was annoying. So I didn't catch this entire interview. I think there might have been a promo from Brian or Mox right around here, because Excalibur mentioned later that we heard from him earlier in the night, and I don't remember it. And then we had Pac versus Orange Cassidy for the All Atlantic Championship. And fuck me, I missed like at least 3/4 of this match. I'm really pissed off. I'm going to have to go back and watch it when it's back on demand. But I came back to when Orange Cassidy had his feet straight up in the air to block Pac off the top rope, which was just amazing. So it was just like, I just come back to him with his feet straight up, and I'm just like, this motherfucker. So by doing that, he's able to sucker Pac into a pinfall. Pac kicks out of. OC goes for a DDT. It's blocked, but he's then able to hit the Stung Dog Millionaire, a diving DDT off the top rope, and a Tilt-A-Whirl DDT that he originally went for. And then he's about 2 seconds later, he's able to hit an Orange Punch. And Pac is down 1, 2, 3, but Pac grabs the ropes and breaks up the count. Pac rolls out of the ring. He goes towards the timekeeper's area and very subtly grabs a hammer that they use to hit the ring bell. OC comes over, and with both of their backs turned to the referee, Pac is able to punch Orange Cassidy in the head using the hammer. Remsburg, the ref, he never saw it. Pac rolls Orange Cassidy into the ring, 1, 2, 3, and retains his title. So very disappointing. I honestly thought Orange Cassidy had a good shot at winning here. It's kind of lame that this happened again. This is not the first time Pac has cheated to beat Orange Cassidy. It's not going to be the last, it seems like, at this point. And once again, Chad, we just don't have a big Orange Cassidy singles win, and especially a big Orange Cassidy singles win for a title. A title he easily can have.
I mean,
what's up, John?
Man, I'm so weary, tired, taxed, exhausted, whatever other word means tired of Orange Cassidy losing. I mean, the match was good. The ending, of course,
Fed
even
up.
the ending was actually good. It just, the result sucked because, damn, like if there's ever a time for OC to win, it's this. It's a title that you're trying to build. It's brand new. He's over as fuck. He's always going to be over as fuck. The guy's not getting any younger. He's been losing all year. Like, come on. But other than that, I mean, Pac looked great. He was the confident heel. He remained the champion. Damn, this was the one match, the one match that really, really, really like deflated everything for me for the night. The whole night was still good, but this was the one thing that just deflated my night. Again, I kind of went into Mox Bryan thinking Mox would win, so I was fine with that. Putting all my hope into Orange Cassidy was just sometimes we just don't get what we want. I don't know what else to say.
Yeah, and you know what sucks about that is at a certain point we're gonna stop putting our hope into Orange Cassidy.
Yep.
Which we don't want to do. Like, we love this guy, but I think we're all kind of at a point now where he can't win the big one, at least so far. So it's like, you know, if he ever faces for another title again, or him and Best Friends face the trios titles again, or what have you, I'm just like, I'm gonna not check out because I want to watch Orange Cassidy wrestle, but I'm gonna know the result going in.
Yeah.
I don't know if that's Tony's plan, Tony Khan, that is, where, you know, you build up the Ken Orange Cassidy win the big one thing, but you kind of got past that point already. Like, the answer is no.
Yeah, it's just no.
At least it's been no since the freaking Mimosa match they had with Jericho. So,
oh god,
that's the last big match he's won.
Yeah,
like we've had this discussion.
Yeah.
So the last big match he won, and that was, I think, still in the pandemic when they were, you know, still at Daly's place with no fans, or at least very few. So, I mean, it's disappointing. From what I understand, the beginning of this match was very good, or I guess the majority of this match was very good because the end was good.
It was.
You know? The end was very well executed. I thought this was a very clever way of cheating. Something I hadn't seen before with using the actual hammer and then using it subtly like that. But it's just lame that he lost again.
So lame. The only way they can turn this around, and I'm sure they won't do it, is if he gets like a really big title win, like just a surprise. And I don't think anybody has faith that they'll do that, but it's the only way to get him out of this hole he's in, because nobody's ever going to expect him to win anything now.
Yeah, I mean, if he just like randomly wins a TNT championship,
right? That's the only way.
Or I mean, when Wardlow is getting towards the end of his reign, and maybe he's heel and OC wins, you know. Like it's just something like that. I literally have nothing else, but he's got to be Pac at some point. He's just got to, because then this is all for naught.
It's Brian Mox. He can't get it in.
Yeah. Although hilariously, I think Excalibur said at the top of that match that Moxley was only like 9-1-2 against Brian. I don't think he had ever beaten him until he got to AEW. So, which is weird in singles matches. We are getting a live update from the boys at Grand Slam. Danny and James just met. Congratulations, guys. I don't know.
Mark it down.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Next up, we had the women's four-way match for the interim AEW Women's World Championship between Toni Storm, Serena Deeb, Athena, and Dr. Britt Baker, DMD. I just want to start this off by asking if I heard correctly that Excalibur made a Cubone reference when Athena came in.
Yo, I don't know.
With the skull, I think he said she was channeling Cubone.
Yo, I totally missed that, and now I'm mad, and I have to go back and watch it. Oh fuck, I'm tight. Damn.
I'm pretty sure he did. So shouts to him with the Pokemon reference. Apparently, Mox is dead to James now. Nope, that's Danny. Danny took his phone. Don't try me, Danny. I know it's you.
It's absolutely Danny.
James doesn't type like that. Anyway, this match had some cool spots in the beginning. Deeb had a bunch of creative shit, including double pin where Tony and Athena were locked up, and she got in between them, flipped them over, and then pinned them together, which was kind of cool. She also then locked in a cool, Deeb's great with the hold, so she locked in a double hold on both Tony Storm and Athena at the same time, which was dope. And actually, there was some really good action in the commercial break. I paid a lot more attention to this picture than I do most for some odd reason. I guess I just didn't really have anything to type for my notes, so I was watching. And there was some really good stuff in here to the point where I think the crowd was a little more enthused by the match than when we came back. Obviously, once again, time slot of death for the women, right before the main event. So I'm sure people were going to the bathroom, getting beer, getting food and everything, and just overall burnt out. But they put some energy behind this match, at least. And as always, that's good to see. A little bit later in the match, Deeb was able to get in a Serenity lock on Tony, but Britt Baker broke it up. Then both Britt and Deeb tried to crossbody Athena, and Athena was able to catch both of them. And I think she just tossed them. I didn't see how, but whatever she did, Britt fucked up her face again.
Yep.
I don't know if it was her nose or her mouth or a bit of both. Was it? I thought it was her nose, and then they weren't sure on commentary. So it did look like she broke her. I don't know if she broke her nose again, but she definitely bloodied it, and she was freaking gushing blood again. So I was say Britt's gonna have to go rip Hamilton and wrestle all her masks. Or I guess Cody did that for a while, right? Dashing Cody Rhodes.
Yep, that's when he was good.
Yeah, I like my reference better. Anyway, the match actually ended with Britt rolling up Tony out of nowhere as Deeb and Athena rolled to the outside after a couple of big moves. But Tony was able to quickly reverse that into her own pin, and she was able to get the 3 count to retain the title. Right after Tony is handed said title, Britt attacked her from behind, and then Jamie Hayter came running out. And after a quick stare down with Britt, they both attacked Tony Storm. And then Jamie yelled that Britt was her best friend. Deeb jumps in to start beating down Athena. And then we get random music. And it's Soraya! Yay! Thank you, SRS, for spoiling that the entire fucking day with gifts and shit. But honestly, this was awesome. She got a huge pop from what we heard at the boys. From what we heard from the boys there, it was deafening, which is great. She cleared the ring with her mere presence. Everyone hopped out. She seemed really excited to be there. And as the camera cut away to go to the next segment, Athena and Tony Storm got in the ring to celebrate with her. So, Chad, obviously, solid match. I think, when you have 4 women this good in one match, it's going to be good. But the clear show stealer here is Soraya's return to wrestling and her introduction into AEW.
Indeed. I have notes. Not actual notes, just mental Rolodex notes. Okay, so I love when I say something and then I look like a complete idiot the following week. I came on this podcast and I said that Tony Storm has been mid and is mid for the last few weeks.
And I got for the last few weeks. Okay. I got mad at you.
You did. Tony Storm fucking showed up tonight. I think this match was borderline. I don't want to say great because I don't want to put too much behind it.
The Hall was very good.
This match was really good for me. Like, I don't know. She meshed perfectly. Maybe she just has to have certain contenders for me. Maybe it's something of that nature. I don't know. But for some reason, it might have been the numbers. It might have been like just everybody doing moves at once or ganging up on each other and double teaming and all that shit. But this match for me was just really good. The only thing I could think of that was negative was why the hell is Athena in the match when she hasn't won a match since she's been in AEW. However, she easily shut me the fuck up when she picked up both broads and just tossed them. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? And then we had blood. Yo, this match really, like, it was really good. It was intense. It was at the, that death slot that they always do, but the crowd was behind it. It didn't let out steam for me. It didn't deflate like other women's matches. Like, the dynamics were just great. And I'm probably the only one, but I'm going to say it and you guys can hate me if you want. I secretly wanted Serena Deeb to win. I'm sorry. I just think she's so fucking awesome. Like, I can't explain how dope I think she is, for real. Like, she's definitely the minor character that outshines a lot of the main characters sometimes. And I might even say she was the best wrestler in the ring tonight.
Oh yeah, I think, I don't want to say I necessarily agree with that, but she, I think all four of these women are great, and Deeb is easily the best technical wrestler.
Yes,
in the ring, and because she's such a good veteran, she's very good at directing traffic, especially in these types of matches where you have four women. There's a lot of chaos going around. So
she just owned it in and made it work. Like I said, Toni Storm looked great, and she hasn't looked great to me in weeks. And I don't know, it was just great for me. I loved it. I loved everything about it. I knew Toni Storm was going to win, but I mean, that made sense. The results didn't bother me at all. The jumping afterwards didn't bother me at all. I loved it. And then fucking Paige. If there's any women's wrestler who we can get behind and who can probably single-handedly boost a division, it's Paige. I'm going to cringe every time she wrestles because I'm scared.
Yeah.
I'm going to literally squeeze my ass cheeks every time she takes a bump.
Lemon booty the entire time.
The whole time. But I mean, I popped. Even though like I knew it and the rumors went out earlier, I just popped. Like, I love Paige. Soraya, sorry. I got to get used to that. Yep. I'm ecstatic. I can't wait to see where this division goes now.
Yeah, and again, I assume that she's going to be wrestling. I haven't heard anything to the contrary, but let's just assume she is. It's going to be a lot of fun having her in this division. I think it's a serious shot in the arm, considering what a star Soraya is just in general. It's not just from wrestling. She's transcended that to an extent, due to things like Total Divas, which is wrestling related. But even then, she's transferred, crossed over in the pop culture, at least somewhat. So plus, absolutely. The movie with The Rock too didn't help, or did help, excuse me.
She's a movie star.
Yeah, she was. Who was that? Santa's Little Helper with The Miz?
not the movie I'm talking about. Moving along.
All right, Xavier Woods. No, as for the other women you mentioned, yeah, I guess with Toni, perhaps the last few weeks, just the chemistry hasn't been there, and now she's worked with Britt 3 times in like the last 4 weeks or something. Mm-hmm. She's worked with Deeb a bit, and then Athena, they know each other from NXT.
Yep.
So they have some experience, and it probably she's probably just getting more and more comfortable working with the other women in AEW, which is only going to help her more and more, because she worked with Thunder Rosa so much in the beginning and had quite a few squash matches as well as they were bringing her in. So I think her working with more of the top talent is only helping her. And same thing with Athena. Like, I missed a lot of those Jade matches. Unfortunately, they were on Rampage, and Rampage is a pain in the ass. But I'm going to do my best to watch this weekend. I really want to see this, especially because Hook and Action Bronson. But I think Athena has been coming to play the last few weeks. She has looked great. For sure. I don't know what that move is, but where she like falls on her backs and like slams people in her like her knees and her shins and shit.
Yeah, I don't know what it's called either, but it's fire.
Yeah, I haven't seen it in a while out of her. I was like, holy fuck, I forgot she hit that move. Like, it is such a sweet signature. So, and obviously, Britt's always good, and hilariously, she's probably the worst wrestler out of the 4 of them. But which is crazy. That was the talent in this ring for this match, and nobody fucking cared. But she came to play, and like you said, Deeb is just she's a master at this point. So I've been sold on her ever since that pre-show match with Rio, like way back.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I knew she was good before that, but that was what really opened my eyes to how good Deeb is, to the point where I continue to say that the Ring of Honor women's title should be on her.
Absolutely. I'm so glad she was in this match, yo. I'm so glad, because she's been fucking winning all year.
Yeah. Hopping back in the chat really quick, James did confirm that Soraya had one of the loudest pops he's heard in a long time. So I'm very happy for her, and whatever she ends up doing in the company, I'm sure is going to be amazing.
Absolutely.
But I'm really thrilled for her. And the show pretty much wrapped up after that, and outside of the main event. But there was one more thing I wanted to mention, which was Darby Allin's vignette for his no holds barred tag team match on Friday for his House of Black, where he walked through New York City with a body bag, and quite frankly, that is the most realistic thing I've ever seen in wrestling. Somebody walking through a body bag through the streets, getting into a cab and having the driver say nothing, and most importantly, getting on the subway and everybody avoiding him is the most realistic New York City thing ever put to film. Nobody would say a word to a guy walking around with a body bag.
That's facts. He was definitely going to Brooklyn.
Well, he's going to Queens because he was going to a funeral at Arthur Ashe. So that match is going to be fun on Friday. And I think it's the second year in a row that Darby and Sting have had like a no holds barred or no disqualification match or whatever tag match on Rampage at Grand Slam. So
makes sense.
Hey, look, I think you got to put Sting on this card. It's one of their biggest shows of the year. So yeah, that was pretty much it. Chad, I very much enjoyed the show. It flew for me. I know I missed part of it, but like it went really fast because I was really enjoying it. So what'd you think?
Overall,
better than last year. Better than last year's Grand Slam?
For me, I mean, just off the strength of the acclaims, definitely. I mean, like I said, I enjoyed it heavily. I knew, besides the Pac match, but the match was good. So I just can't complain. I mean, the booking was strong, the matches were strong, the promos were strong. No complaints for me. I look forward to next year. Shit.
Yeah, me neither. This was one of the better Dynamites. I think we've had 3 now really strong weeks in a row of Dynamite, or at least since the tournament started, which is good. And I think that's actually really good, especially considering everything that happened at All Out. So this has been a really good run of shows for Tony Khan. I think it shows that AEW is fine. Not to throw the Bullet Club is fine reference out there, but I think it really does show that they're going to be okay, no matter what ends up happening with Punk, with the Elite. So, we're good is the answer. And it's really smart of Tony Khan to not just show the audience, but to show the Discovery executives as well. Like, hey, look, we don't have these guys. We had some bad publicity, but we're still out here. We're doing great numbers. We're putting on great shows. No matter what happens with them, we'll be okay.
Yep. It was about the wrestling a lot tonight. And I think that's what pretty much that's going to be a W all the time. Yeah.
And, obviously, I think there'll be some less wrestling next week. They packed this show with a lot of stuff. I mean, fucking Rampage is 2 hours on Friday. So they packed the show with a lot of stuff. I'm sure the boys are going to be there till, when this match. There's probably
1 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, 12:31. Yep. So good luck getting home, guys. Fucking Queens. Jeez, have fun on those subways too. I hope they're running super expresses and they're not assholes, but they probably will be. And yeah, I think the one thing I want to know coming out of this, just from the guys at the stadium, and I'm sure we'll get more word on this as they get home and we talk to them tomorrow in the future and stuff. After last year with all the line debacles, with all the merch stands and the food and the beer lines and everything, I'm curious to see how that went. So far, what I've heard, I'm hearing good things, saying they weren't as bad. The thing I'm hearing most about is like the parking and just getting into the actual stadium again. So which wasn't terrible last year, but it was a pain in the ass. But from what I'm hearing, they had a park on like the other side of City Field, which for those who haven't been there is about a mile.
Yep.
So it's pretty far. So take mass transit, kids. But I think that's pretty much all we have for tonight. So I want to thank everybody so much for watching. Be sure to like and subscribe. We will get I don't know how many subscribers are we at. We are currently at about 105, somewhere around there. So our next goal is 200. James did dye his beard, but I think Danny's gonna make it dye it green. We shall see.
I hope so.
And the wrap is coming. And when we get to 200, which is obviously our next goal, James will be telling the Kevin Steen versus John Cena guy story, which is great. You guys really want to hear it. They had a beautiful feud together. Be sure to check out all our social media stuff. We'll put the links in the description below. And, go check out some of our other videos. Our podcast will be out later this week. Last week, we covered the PWI Top 500. We had a lot of fun with that, especially because James's beard was pink. It was a really good time. So be sure to check that out and check out all of our other videos as well. So for Chad Big Bad Johnson, Danny and James over at Arthur Ashe, my name is Nick Cummings. Thank you so much for watching, and we will catch you here next time on the Mark It Down podcast.